Welcome, Realms parents. I'm Roger White, and I'm here to try and give you a quick overview of our academic systems, including our grading and assessment and reporting systems. For all those of you who may have missed the WebEx, this is going to be hopefully a quick version to get you caught up. All right. So first of all, we're talking tonight a little bit about standards-based grading. That is the format of grading we use here at Realms Middle School. Here's a good example for a pilot who is our student today. Overall grade 500 out of 600 in a traditional grade book, a raw score of 500 out of 600 points. So this pilot has a traditional grade of a B, which is excellent. However, when we go a little deeper and look into the standards that and all of the scores that contributed to that 500 out of 600 points and that B, and we look at these academic standards that the pilot studied: pre-flight checks, takeoff, navigation, instruments only, landings, determination, all these things, we see the breakdown of the pilot's scores. And what stands out is overall that pilot got a B. However, on takeoffs and landings, not doing so well. So what we'd like to say is, while the overall grade of B is as a nice piece of information overall, it does not really give us good information about whether a student, or in this case, a pilot, is ready. So standards-based grading is different. It's much more than a letter grade. And in fact, at Realms Middle School, we don't even provide a letter grade. We provide scores on each of the academic and behavioral or habit of work standards in the course. Each of the scores on those standards is based on demonstrated mastery of the content and skill learning targets or standards. It's not based on an accumulation of points. And it's really, most importantly, designed to help students see and understand the connection between what they're doing in class and the intended learning target. And the scores are designed to help students understand, how's my progress towards this intended learning target, and on each of the assignments that has helped me build my skills towards this learning target. So ultimately, what we really want is students to own their own assessment data, to be able to become consumers of their own grades and their own scores, to really understand and own the learning process, and to see the connection between what they do each day in the classroom and their learning trajectory. And that's why standards-based grading is the approach we take. So as a parent, it might be helpful for you to know, okay, that's great, sounds good. I'm not going to get a letter grade. A letter grade sometimes can be a nice, quick, easy, tempting dipstick to know, is my student successful or struggling? And in a standards-based system, that dipstick doesn't exist quite so cleanly. So where should parents go? Parent View or Canvas, or both? So first of all, I just want to explain the difference between Parent View and Canvas. At Realms Middle School, we use Parent View, which is the parent portal directly into the teacher's gradebook. We use Parent View for you as a parent and for students to see, how is my student doing? What are the scores that they're receiving on each of their standards? It's important to know that Parent View, because it's the teacher gradebook, has typically a 1 week lag. So our teachers have to basically double score a lot of their work. They use Canvas as the workflow, and then eventually, as quickly as and often as they can, they transfer those scores into the Synergy gradebook, which is how you see it in Parent View. So it really is a window into the teacher gradebook. Students and teachers are typically in there weekly. On the other hand, Canvas, on the other side of this, Canvas is the workflow platform that our teachers and students use back and forth daily. If you want to go into Canvas as a parent observer, you absolutely can. You can set up a parent observer account, and when you go into Canvas, you will have a window into what my student is working on, not so much how my student's doing, but much more what my student is doing. As a parent observer, you can click in on the assignments and see the instructions and the resources. You can even click in and see your student's submissions, what your student has turned in on Canvas in response to the assignment or the task. You can see feedback. Teachers will often give students narrative written feedback on pieces of work, whether it's a score on a circled rubric that shows the student how they did on different aspects of that particular assignment, scored on a rubric, or narrative written feedback. You can also see what assignments have been completed or are still incomplete. It is typically more of a day-to-day, faster timeline. It's the workflow platform between students and teachers, so they're in there daily. So those are the two differences. If you only as a parent have the bandwidth to go to one of those two places, I would tend to suggest that Parent View is the place, because that's ultimately where the most reliable scores on assignments are. You can also track what is missing, what assignments might be missing in Parent View. If you have the bandwidth to navigate both of those platforms, please, by all means. Parent View is a reliable place for scores and standards. Canvas is the place to see, I need to help my student complete this assignment. They're struggling with it. I need to unpack the instructions together with them. So I'm going to open up my Canvas Parent Observer account, get in there and help my student with this tricky and challenging and complex homework assignment. So that's kind of the main difference between those two. All right, so we're going to dig into Parent View. I'm going quickly here. So again, Parent View is the spot where you can see how your students performing against measured against these learning targets or standards, and whether they're up to date on turning assignments in. All right, here is a screenshot right out of Parent View. So let's unpack what this looks like briefly as a parent. This is the computer version, the laptop version, as opposed to the app. If you open the app on your phone, it's going to look different, but that's okay. I think if you understand this, you'll understand the app as well. First place to look is this tree on the left-hand side, right? This is where you're going to click on Gradebook. And when you click on Gradebook, you're going to see a list of the students' courses, okay? Once you click on any one of those classes, you can then use this drop-down menu up here to get back to any of your students' different classes. I want to draw your attention to number 2 here, this zone up here where it says Standards View or Assignment View. Right now, this screenshot is using the Standards View. And you can see that in this 6th grade language arts class, there are 2 habits of work standards. One, the habit of work we call determination, and the second, the habit of work for participation. Those are important standards that we do score. We do believe that these are behaviors that really do support effective academic learning, but they're different from the academic learning. So 3 habit of work standards that are sort of not true descriptions of the academic work. And then right now, at this point in the semester, 2 academic standards. I can build my understanding of ancient cultures and their impact on modern day society, and I can cite evidence from the text to support my understanding. Here are the 2 academic standards tackled so far. Right now, the screenshot came in the 2nd week of school, so the student only had scores on 2 of their standards so far using our 6-point rubric. 4 is really our solid grade level proficiency. 6 is mastery at the very top of our scale. All right, let's keep going. Next screenshot. Okay, so we've already discussed the difference between our habit of work targets and our academic targets. Here's another screenshot out of a different class. This actually happens to be a high school class. So I took a screenshot out of one of our high school grade books. Okay. And what I want to show you here is that when you're in this standards view, if we go back here, when you're clicked on this standards view, you can open up each of these standards by clicking on them. And you can do this in the app as well. And when you click on them, it will expose the tasks or assessments that have been completed in class, and or some of which may have been scored, and that are part of the learning and the work towards mastering this standard. So this production of writing standard has been assessed in 4 different ways in this class. 3 scaffolded assessments and 1 on-demand assessment. An on-demand assessment is typically the most classic version is a test. Okay, it's a moment in time snapshot of what your student is able to do by themselves without support. A quiz, a test, a short answer set of questions that you work on privately during class, etc. Okay, scaffolded assessments are sometimes more project-y, classworky tasks, all that lead to work on mastering this academic learning standard. Okay, so you can see the student has a couple of 5s and a 3. The overall score for this standard happens to be a 5. Different times we will use different averaging methods to generate the overall score on the standard. This one is clearly using a most recent evidence is weighted more heavily. And that's why the student has a 5, despite the fact that a 3, a 5, and a 5 would not average a 5. It's showing that the student is making progress towards the learning target, and their most recent evidence is at a 5. Okay. You can also click on the assignments view. The assignments view is handy as well because it will show you whether the work has been turned in on time, is in progress, or is missing using these comments on the right. Okay, you can often see these comments in the standards view as well, but in this assignment view, they're most clear and obvious. Okay, so if you click on the assignment view, you'll see a list of all the assignments in the course so far and some useful comments. Okay, this screenshot, let me go back one. If you click on any of these assignments, okay, you will get to this screen here, which shows the name of the assignment, what type of assignment it was. It was an on-demand assessment. It was Unit 1 on-demand quiz. And which of the math standards, this is out of a math class, which of the standards were being assessed by this quiz. So this quiz assessed the 2 different geometry standards, one around real world mathematical problems and one around triangles and quadrilaterals by decomposing. And the score that the student got on each of those 2 standards in this one quiz. Okay, so it shows that the student is more capable on standard 2 and a little less so still developing on standard 1. All right. So that's a quick overview of student view. Or parent view. I just encourage you to get in there and poke around, click on things, make sense of it yourself. Hopefully, as we become more clear with these connection between, I'm going to scroll back for a moment, these different academic standards that we see. And then when you click on each standard, seeing the assignments or assessments or tasks underneath and connected to, and then messing around with the assignment view versus the standard view. Okay. How, as a parent, do I know when to worry or celebrate? That is often the question that busy parents have. We don't have forever. We don't have a ton of time to track along with our students. So just knowing whether I need to worry or celebrate is a nice sort of indicator. So typically there will be about a week or so lag between when a student submits an assignment and when it shows up as scored in Synergy. That's if the student is submitting the assignment on time. If they submit it on time, there will be typically a week lag between that submission and when it shows up scored in Synergy. If the student turns in the assignment late, sometimes that lag can be even longer because the class has moved on. Teachers are working on new and current assignments. And then when someone turns in something late, the teacher has to jump back, get back to it, open it, score it, and then get it back into the grade book. Okay. Here is the breakdown of the scoring rubric at Realms. You've seen that we're using this 1 through 6 scale. 1 and 2 typically mean not yet. There's just maybe the student has not turned in enough evidence at all. They're not completing work in class and or not turning in work, and or that what they've turned in does not provide enough evidence for us to really be able to gauge how they're doing. 3 is a developing. That means the student is approaching grade level. 4 is proficient. That's fully met the grade level expectations on that learning target, demonstrated consistent evidence for their understanding. That is a solid score of 4. That's where you can monitor and celebrate. Mastery is 5 and 6. I'm not sure if that screen is visible to you. There we go. Mastery is a 5 and 6. That means the student has gone above and beyond grade level expectation or has been able to apply this knowledge and skill, this standard, to advanced and unfamiliar contexts. So 5 and 6 is excellent. So 4, 5, and 6, I like to say that's where you monitor and celebrate. 3, we need stand by and support. 1s and 2s, definitely time as a parent for us as teachers to act and intervene. All right, let's see. This one is a quick, easy one. So this is a trajectory from, get this out of the way, from September through January, typically the length of a semester. And as we begin a semester, we begin working on learning targets. Sometimes for the very first time, tackling new learning targets. And when we tackle new learning targets, we expect that students' scores will be lower at first as they practice and grapple with new ideas and new skills and new content. And they complete several practice and on demand or scaffolded assessments, and they build their skill. So for us to see student scores going from 2 to 3 to 4 over the course of September, October, November, that's understandable and predictable. So typically early on, if scores are threes and fours, I'm certainly not concerned. However, what we do like to look at early on in September, October, November is keeping track of missing assignments. This is a useful thing to keep track of early and often in the beginning weeks of a semester. So going into Synergy or Parent View to track missing assignments is a really valuable indicator. If you see a lot of missing assignments, it's an indicator that the student's struggling to complete work in class or complete that homework out of class. Later on, as the semester goes on, the scores on those learning targets become more reliable. All right, we're getting close here. Step 2, Canvas. So you're done with student parent view and you'd like to check in on Canvas as a parent observer. Please feel free, if you have the bandwidth and the time and the interest to set up a parent observer account in Canvas, we'd love for you to do that. What you will see there is the actual assignments, instructions, and resources that our students access each day in the classroom. You can also see the actual submitted work that your students turned in. You can find teacher feedback or comments on the student work and more information about what your student is learning, lessons, activities happening in their classes daily. Okay. Once you get into Canvas as an observer, here is a screenshot out of a 7th grade math classroom. And on the left, you're going to, similar to Parent View, you're going to go to click on grades and you can start to see lists of assignments and you can see completion data. You're actually not going to see scores here in Canvas anymore this year. We're not using Canvas to score assignments. We are using Canvas to indicate completion and whether that assignment is complete or incomplete or excused and turned in. Okay. But you're not going to see scores in Canvas anymore. Remember, scores are found in Parent View. I will also tell you that you can find student feedback. There are typically some icons over here on the right-hand side that indicate different things. You can click on those, and if you want to see the feedback on your students' work, you very often can do so by clicking on icons on this grades section here in Canvas. There's much more to learn in Canvas. We'll send out a PDF with some screenshots that can give you a little bit of indication on how to navigate Canvas. What should I expect regarding homework at Realms? To be quite transparent with you at the moment, right now at Realms Middle School and at most of our schools, we're recalibrating a little bit after distance learning before we dig deeply into assigning a lot of homework. Research on the effectiveness of homework at the middle school level is decidedly mixed, inconclusive, not actually very clear that homework drives academic growth at the middle school level. However, we do appreciate the need for a grade-based sort of titrated approach to homework for 8th graders, especially as they get ready to move on to high school. So more to come on homework. However, what's probably most important here is that if you ever see a missing assignment in Parent View, that is homework. That is to be completed for homework. At that point, once it's marked missing in Parent View, the class has moved on and the student is now late on that assignment and must complete it for homework. So missing assignments are always homework. If you notice your student is struggling, if you look at those grade books, notice your student struggling, or that your student needs more challenge, they're relaying to you that class is just too easy for them, please, we would really appreciate it if you would initiate a conversation through email with the teacher. Send us a quick email, send that particular teacher or your kiddos teachers in general, or even us in the office, an email, and we will respond to you and design a plan. If email is not your preferred method, you can certainly call our office and we'll try and connect you to the right person by phone. But knowing that teachers are busy for 95% of their day in front of kids, email sometimes allows them to be able to respond in the evening or morning before the students arrive. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Okay.